My son's fiancée looked me straight in the eye and said, "We only want important people at our wedding." My chest tightened, but I kept my voice calm. Years of sacrifice teaching me how to hold steady. That night, I dialed 3 quiet numbers, and by morning, every contract tied to their wedding was gone, but that was only the beginning of what unfolded. My name is Althea Ransom. I'm 68 years old, a widow, and I've kept this family standing through hurricanes that rattled Charleston and recessions that nearly broke the country. On nights like this, when the cicadas hum in the magnolia trees and the air feels heavy as wet wool, I sit in my home office surrounded by photographs of my late husband and letters from young people whose scholarships I fund. They remind me of what endures. Still, beneath that pride runs a quiet fear. The thought of being erased from my own son's wedding day. I've eaten enough Sunday dinners to know when sweetness hides a sting, and tonight the air itself carried a warning. My hand brushed the Rolodex on my desk, an old habit of mine whenever storm clouds gathered. The call came after supper. Milas Draycott, my son's fiancée, spoke with a smile I could hear but didn't trust. "Althea, for the guest list. We only want important people." I sat up straighter, pressing the phone closer. "Say that again," I told her, my voice flat. She didn't waver. "Important people, bankers, donors, partners that matter. We'll arrange a casual barbecue for your side of the family later." Her words were sweet tea poured over vinegar. I asked about Eldrick, my son. She said he was in a meeting. Her timing too convenient. My eyes fell on my husband's picture, his gaze steady, even in the frame. I didn't slam the receiver when I ended the call. I placed it gently on the cradle. Dignity has a sound, and it isn't loud. Afterward, I checked my email. Vendor invoices stacked up like kindling. RSVP notices blinked, and a planning link sat waiting. I tapped out a short message to Eldrick. "Call me." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Silence stretched. I thought, I've seen grown folks hide behind meetings when the truth was knocking. My account underwrites every deposit. Not a penny leaves without my name. So I logged into their wedding portal, curious about what had been curated without my say. What I found chilled me more than any insult spoken out loud. On the seating chart, my name wasn't where it belonged. It read kitchen help instead of mother of the groom, a single phrase that felt sharper than a slap. The PDF showed timestamps, initials, even an approved mark from Milas's own email. They hadn't just misspelled me, they'd misplaced me. I could smell the imaginary chafing dishes, hear the rattle of trays, picture myself shoved near swinging service doors. My training took over. I saved screenshots, captured metadata, and archived it all. Then I wrote a calm note to the planner. "Please confirm my listed role." Minutes later, the site pinged "updated pending." That kind of scramble told me plenty. I've lived by rules written in quiet ink. Rule 1, dignity, doesn't beg. It documents. Rule 2, don't raise your voice. Raise your leverage. Around here, paper has more weight than cocktail chatter. Tonight, I lined up my 3 lifelines: counsel, capacity, and control. Each was a number in my Rolodex. My husband once told me, "Never let anyone say you don't belong in the house you paid for." His words carried me as I closed the laptop, slipped open my drawer, and touched the key to the floor safe. Cool metal, warmer resolve. My heart beat steady as church bells. I set the phone down as calm as Sunday morning. Important people, she had said. Soon enough, paper would decide who qualified. My fingers turned to the Rolodex. I dialed the first number I hadn't needed in 5 years, and when the voice answered, it still called me Mrs. Ransom. The morning should have been ordinary. I brewed my coffee strong, folded the Charleston Post and Courier on the table, and let the cicadas hum slip through the screen door. Usually, that rhythm calms me, but not today. I clipped coupons for the church fundraiser, checked the weather, and tried to steady myself with routine. My phone sat next to the cup, screen dark, but I kept glancing. The message I'd sent Eldrick last night had been read. Those little words seen beneath it, but no reply followed. The silence stung sharper than words. I thought to myself, if somebody can't face you in daylight, they've already given their answer. What should have been a morning of peace tasted like burnt coffee. Memory pulled me back to a different sting. I saw again Melis's face on the planner's video call a few weeks earlier. She stared into the camera, eyes flat, a smile that never warmed. Her manicured nails tapped against the planner's table while her iPad glowed with vendor lists. Not once did she acknowledge me. I had sat there, invisible in my own son's future. I remembered her words as clear as the clink of a spoon. "We'll make sure you're comfortable near the kitchen staff." The cruelty was dressed up polite, but cruelty all the same. I stirred sugar into my coffee now, watching it dissolve like my patience. That girl looked at me as though I had wandered into the wrong house. I left the kitchen and went to the study. On the top shelf rested an old shoebox, worn at the corners. Inside lay my son's story in scraps. The little soccer cleats I once stitched back together when we couldn't afford new. The tuition receipt I paid when his scholarship fell short. A faded photo of the first car I co-signed so he could drive to practice. Each piece was a reminder. I kept the lights on with 2 paychecks and one tired body while his father was fading. I thought about the $20,000 I wired for his wedding deposit. My name on that transfer because Eldrick had asked with tears in his eyes. I held that slip of paper now, my chest aching. All those years, all those sacrifices, and one sentence from Melis, "important people," was enough to strip me out of the picture. I sat down at my mahogany desk, pen tapping against a yellow legal pad. I wrote 3 phrases: important people, kitchen help, invisible mother, one by one. I crossed them out, then circled 2 words: control contracts. That was the lever they forgot I held. Don't let them hear you holler. I told myself, let them hear the paper shuffle. I opened the trust binder, read over the clauses about deposits, refund triggers, cancellation rights. I knew the rules better than they did. Folks forget who signs the checks until the ink runs dry. The phone finally rang. Eldrick's voice was rushed, background noise of traffic in his car. "Mom, don't take it personal. Melis just wants a certain vibe." I bit back the first words that rose and said calmly, "I paid for your vibe, son." He sighed. "Let's talk later. I'm late for a meeting." Then the line went dead. I held the phone a moment longer, the silence heavier than the insult. A son who won't shield his mother is already choosing sides. I put away the shoebox and pulled out a black notebook labeled Contingencies. On the first page were 3 initials: L, C, V, M, C, C, my lawyer, the venue manager, and the caterer. Each number was a lever, each contact a gavel. My husband used to say, when the pot boils too fast, "Take the lid off yourself." I set the pen down and looked at the wedding invitation draft pinned to my fridge. My name wasn't on it. I whispered to the empty room. "Not important? Let's see how important your contracts feel without me." My Rolodex sat close, waiting. The first call I would make would send shivers through their whole plan. The text from Melis came without apology. "Quick chat downtown?" Just a line, no courtesy, no warmth. I agreed, but not on her terms. I chose the cafe patio on Meeting Street, shaded by wide umbrellas and full of strangers who didn't know me but would witness what mattered. I ordered unsweet tea, thanked the server by name, and placed my phone on the table screen down. Not recording, yet. I reminded myself, listen more than you talk. Write it down later. In Charleston, manners aren't optional. I thought, if you can't manage manners, you shouldn't manage a wedding. I sat steady, waiting. 9 minutes past the hour. Melis arrived. Sunglasses stayed on until she pulled out a chair, as if she was gracing me with her presence. "Althea, we just want a seamless vibe," she said. Rehearsed words with no room for reply. I asked plainly, "Define seamless, define us." She shifted into buzzwords, brand partners, optics, elevated feel. Not once did the word family pass her lips. I let silence hang, watched her fingers tap on the planner app, a mistap flashing the seating chart I'd already burned into memory. Honey, if you talk like a press release, I'll file you under advertising. The server returned to check on us. And that's when Milas delivered it. She's just the one who writes the checks. Loud enough for the table beside us to pause their forks. The words hit the patio like a tray dropped on tile. My voice stayed even. Just the one who writes the checks. Heads turned slightly, pretending not to listen. They heard. Child, I said, calm as gospel. The ones who write the checks also decide when the ink runs dry. Milas smirked, lowering her voice. We'll honor you. Althea, just tastefully behind the scenes. I set down my glass. Which scene is the kitchen door? For the first time, her eyes flickered. I marked the moment, every detail. Time, witnesses, her phrasing filed away for later. I drew my line. You will not mislabel me. You will not erase me. You will not shame my friends. My tone was deliberate, no threat, just fact. Anything under the Monroe Family Trust has conditions, I explained without heat. Contracts have triggers. Triggers have consequences. She tried. We've already committed. That word meant nothing without my signature. I didn't argue. I listed vendors, deposits, refund clauses, timelines. Her stumble came quick. Eldrick agrees with me. I nodded once. Agreement is an authority. I kept my voice low, but the fire was steady inside. Back in my car by the river. I told myself what needed saying. Pride without policy is pastime. Pride with paper is power. If anyone watching my life needed a lesson, it was this. Ask 3 questions before you fund anything. Who approves? Who signs? Who cancels? My husband's voice floated back. Don't buy respect that's already yours. I checked my phone. Still silence from Eldrick. Silence is its own signature. When a child won't speak for you in public, believe them in private. I opened my small notebook. First page clean, I wrote 1 line. If they make me invisible, make the contracts visible. Below it, 3 bullets, counsel, capacity, control, each underlined twice. Calls would wait until morning. Never move angry, move accurate. I whispered only for me. Important people don't need a spotlight, they have switches. Closing the notebook. I saw Meili still on the cafe patio, already laughing into her phone. That laugh was my clarity. Good. I work best with clarity. At home, I set my alarm. 8 o'clock a day, 3 calls, back to back. I don't need to raise my voice. I'll raise my pen. I woke before dawn, when the streetlights still burned and the air clung heavy with Charleston's uncertainty. Some mornings here, you can smell the rain before it falls, but this one held its breath. I brewed my coffee black, laid out my tools on the oak table, a yellow legal pad, the pen that never skips, my glasses, and a post-it with 3 initials. L.C. V. Sunny. Sa. C. Counsel. Venue manager. Caterer. Measure twice. Cut once. Read thrice. Sign once. That was the rhythm I trusted. I set my phone to do not disturb until 8 o'clock sharp. My eyes drifted toward the fridge where the invitation mock-up hung, my name missing, as if I were already gone. Good fuel, no flames. At 7:50, I turned the key in the floor safe. The lock clicked steady, no hesitation. Inside rested the brown envelope marked Monroe Family Trust, Event Disbursements. I spread its contents on the desk. Deposit receipts, refund terms, cancellation clauses, even a letter from my late husband setting down donor conditions in his neat hand. One clause was already tabbed. Sponsor may cancel for cause including misrepresentation, reputational harm, or exclusion of sponsor-designated guests. Whoa, folks love fine print until it's read out loud. I slid in a fresh sheet dated today, starting my own paper trail. If anyone asked why, I would let the paper answer. At 8 o'clock sharp, I dialed my attorney. He answered on the second ring. Morning, Mrs. Ransom. I kept my words plain. Mislabel, kitchen help. Exclusion expressed, witnesses present, screenshot saved. He didn't hesitate. You can terminate immediately under dignitary harm and sponsor exclusion. His voice was calm, steady as church bells. Send notices, keep tone factual. Copy me, I chuckled low. I'm not mad, counselor, I'm meticulous. He laughed softly. That wins more than anger. As we hung up, I drafted the subject line. Notice of termination for cause, Monroe Family Trust. Next came the venue manager, Harlan Dupre. His greeting was polished, practiced. I introduced myself once, slow and clear, then read the clause number, deposit date, and confirmation code. Silence followed, the sound of paper outranking performance. Per Section 7B. Terminate effective immediately. Full refund as stipulated. Release the date and notify downstream vendors. He asked if there was any chance to keep my business. I said evenly, yes. Respect the contracts as written. He confirmed cancellation. I promised he'd see my counsel on the email within the hour. No flourish, no threat, just procedure. Then the caterer. I reached the owner himself. Voice gruff like Monday, though it was Wednesday. I read the same script. Sponsor clause, effective immediately. I requested written acknowledgement and a refund timeline. He sighed, then agreed. The weight of paper undeniable. The band leader was easier. Ma'am, we go where the check comes from. We'll confirm in writing. Each response logged on my pad, times noted, attachments prepared. Speak plain, sign neat, file fast. That's how you move a system. I sent the notices, copied counsel, attached every receipt and screenshot, one by one. Replies returned. Received, terminated. Refund initiated. The wedding portal blinked updates. Vendor status canceled. I screenshotted each change and filed it in a folder labeled with today's date in Charleston. You don't have to shout. You just have to show My phone buzzed again. Faster now. I let it buzz. Paper goes first. People second. By mid-morning. The first ripples reach them. A text from Malis. We need to talk. Now. Another from Eldrick. Mom, what did you do? I didn't answer. I slid the last confirmation into my Monroe wedding cancellations file, smoothed the page of my legal pad, and breathed in the quiet. You wanted important people. Miley's, I whispered. Steady. Contracts are the most important thing in this town. By late morning, my inbox was stacked. The vendor portal showed one line after another. Canceled. Date released. Refund initiated. I logged each update in my yellow pad. Time, sender, file name. Paper never forgets. The phone buzzed in steady clusters. But I let the voicemails pile. Finish the work before you feel the feelings. I told myself. One subject line caught my eye. From Orianne Kells, the planner. For your awareness, vendor call at 1 o'clock p. I underlined it twice. Then came the spin. A group text from Malis lit up. Everyone relax, minor hiccup. I'm handling alternatives. She followed with a coat of gloss. We'll rebrand this as an intimate soiree for our highest value guests. She tagged Eldrick. Babe, I've got it. Mom doesn't need to stress details. I recognized the tactic. Declare control before you actually have it. If you have to say you're in charge, you probably aren't. I didn't reply. Instead, I captured the whole thread, tucked it into a folder I titled Spin versus Paper. Evidence waits quietly until needed. Eldrick tried to bridge the gap. He called, voice thin. Mom, Malis says she can fix this. Can you ease up? I kept even. Son, I didn't break anything I paid for. He searched for compromise. Just give her the afternoon. I answered with limits. She can take a week. The contracts won't. His exhale dragged through the line. I heard his turn signal clicking, like someone stalling for time. I ended kindly but firm. I'll be on the 1 o'clock call. The planner's email carried more weight. Orion laid it plain. Vendors wanted clarity. Some had been told I was kitchen help. She warned of reputational harm if she allowed exclusion or class shaming. Her own code didn't bend. Equal treatment for sponsor and family. I replied short. Facts only. No dramatics. 1 p.m. is fine. If telling the truth is dramatic, someone's been lying loudly. I wrote my notes. Clause sites. Deposit codes. One question circled. Who decided kitchen help? At 1 o'clock, the vendor call began. Squares filled the screen. Florist, bandleader, rentals, Orion, and a silent box marked M.D. Orion opened. We'll keep this brief. To align the room, I need to play a clip from last week's seating meeting. She pressed play. Milas's voice filled the air. Casual, clear. We only want important people. Seat her by the kitchen staff so it's seamless. The call went quiet enough to hear bandwidth breathe. I said nothing. Paper and playback did the work. The band leader broke first. "Ma'am, that's not how we run shows." The florist added, "Nor how we treat mothers." Orion's voice was dry, professional. "Sponsor exclusion and mislabel confirmed." I unmuted just to say, "Thank you for clarifying," then muted again. The silent teet box flickered to life. Milas rushed. "That clip lacks context. Althea misunderstood." Orion cut in flat. "Context is in my notes. I was present." Vendors turned to the real question. "Who's funding? Who approves?" I unmuted. "The Monroe Family Trust Funds. I approve." "I've canceled. If it's my check, it's my call." The florist nodded. The band leader asked for confirmation. I told him it was already in his inbox. I ended the call with a thank you and a timestamp. The recording I filed under S9. Audio. A text from Malis came through seconds later. "That was unnecessary, Althea." I let it sit. Optics are what you see. Evidence is what you hear. I set the binder on the coffee table, turned the remote off, and left the kettle warm on the stove. No background noise, no distractions. The lamp threw a steady glow across the room, just enough to catch my husband's portrait on the wall above me. I chose that seat on purpose. When the front door opened, Eldrick stepped in first, shoulders tight. Miley's 2 steps behind, sunglasses finally gone, but her chin tilted high. I didn't rise, didn't offer a hostess smile. "Have a seat," I said evenly. No sweet tea, no niceties. "We'll speak plainly. No recordings, no shouting." Both nodded. The summer air carried tension thick enough to touch. I slid a legal pad to the edge, pen ready to timestamp the truth. Miley's lit the first match. "Althea," they twisted my words on that call. Out of context. "I would never disrespect you." I kept my eyes steady. "Who put kitchen help next to my name?" Silence followed. She glanced at Eldrick, swallowed hard. Vendors misheard. The planner misunderstood. It was about logistics. I shook my head. "Child, if 5 people mishear you the same way, you're speaking clear enough." My voice stayed calm. "You said important people. You said seamless near the kitchen. Their inboxes hold that audio now." Her tone cracked, part tremble, part accusation. "You're trying to ruin our wedding." I wrote her words down, neat and dated. Paper doesn't flinch. I turned the binder around, pages already marked, deposit copies, termination clauses, Orion's minutes. My pen tapped a paragraph. "Sponsor exclusion. Dignitary harm. You triggered both." Milas leaned forward. "Eldrick is the groom. He agrees with me." I answered without heat. "Agreeing is not authorizing. The trust authorizes." My husband's picture seemed to lean closer from the wall. "There's a difference between being loud and being in charge," I added. Then I looked at Eldrick. "Son, did you read any paper or did you nod at a voice?" His eyes fell to the rug, jaw working, silence stretching, then he lifted his head. "Malis, you can't call my mother kitchen help." She snapped, sharp. "I didn't, this is performative." He cut across her words. "Enough." His voice had iron in it this time. He turned to me. "Mom, I'm sorry. I should have stopped this sooner." I let it sit, not rushing to make it easier. "The most important person here is you," he added louder, like steadying himself. Milas laughed, brittle as glass. "So now you're a mommy's boy?" Eldrick shook his head. "No, I'm a man who knows who raised him." The air shifted. The floor itself seemed to steady under his words. I noted the time on my pad. Respect doesn't need applause. It needs decision. I turned my gaze to Malis and simply looked. Not cruel, not soft, surgical. I don't need to defend myself in my own house. My words cut clean. "You will not mislabel me. You will not erase my guests. You will not use what I fund to shame who I am." I kept my tone flat. "I have canceled what I control. That isn't a threat, it's an invoice stamped paid." She tried one more twist. "People will talk." I nodded once. "They already are. Now they have context." I drew the binder back with 2 fingers, closed it, gavel soft. I outlined the path ahead: vendor refunds processing, venue released, planner documenting. Any event carrying this family's name will honor this family's dignity, or it won't carry our name at all. Eldrick's voice was cautious. Is there a way to fix any of it? I answered like a ledger. Tell the truth in public. Apologize to my friends. Own what you allowed. Mila scoffed. This is punitive. I shook my head. No, dear, this is proportionate. I rose, signaling the meeting over. No slammed door, no storming out, just the quiet ending of a mistake. At the threshold, Melis hissed low. You'll regret making me your enemy. I didn't turn. I don't keep enemies. I keep records. Eldrick lingered, his voice softer now. Mom, what should I do? I looked straight ahead. Start where men start, by telling the truth out loud. Thursday morning began like so many others. I walked to the church hall for breakfast. Same folding tables lined with paper placemats. Same sweet rolls cooling on tin trays. Familiar faces waved me in. Chatter soft and warm. Maribel Cortez was already seated, her smile patient, a hand lifted to guide me over. We talked about her daughter's new job and my gardenias finally blooming despite the heat. The room smelled of coffee and cinnamon. I told myself, if the Lord wakes you, you might as well live the morning fully. I carried the weight of yesterday quietly, shoulders squared, choosing community over conflict. For a moment, it felt like safety, until it didn't. The doors opened wide and in swept Miley's, striding like she owned the room. Her voice carried too far, greeting folks with charm pasted on like stage makeup. Then she turned toward me. Althea, funny seeing you here instead of organizing kitchen staff. The words cracked across the hall. Forks hit plates. Conversation stopped. Gasps rippled down the tables. My friend stiffened. The barb caught her too. Maribel's hand trembled on her cup, eyes shining. I lifted my chin, keeping my voice calm. This is my community, not my payroll. A hush deepened. If you don't respect the pew, don't use the pulpit, I added, but the sting had already landed. Neighbors whispered. Maribel blinked hard to hold her tears. Heat spread in my chest, but I held still. My silence became its own mirror. It was the crowd that answered. A deacon muttered low, "That's no way to speak to Mrs. Ransom." The breakfast coordinator, apron tied neat, stepped forward. "We don't host for insults." Miley's tried to laugh it off. "Oh, it was a joke. Don't be so sensitive." But jokes don't draw gasps. If you have to explain the joke, it isn't funny. Maribel spoke then, voice shaking but clear. "I've cooked in this hall 20 years. Kitchen staff feed families. Important enough?" Applause rose, slow but steady. From every corner, I laid my hand gently over hers, steadying her. The air shifted, community itself taking a stand. Miley's smile cracked into contempt, then she turned and left, door swinging harder than needed. By noon, the Charleston Chronicle posted an article. Community reacts to wedding dispute. Testimonies from the breakfast filled its lines. She called her kitchen staff. "We stood with Althea." Photos showed neighbors shoulder to shoulder, captions bold, "Respect mothers, respect elders." Social media threads spun out, vendors quietly liking, silently siding. My phone rang. Eldrick's voice ragged. "Mom, it's everywhere. She says she was ambushed." I answered steady. Truth travels faster than spin when you don't chase it. A lie runs fast until it meets a witness. Now the witnesses were speaking. That evening he came to my porch. Shoulders hunched. He whispered, "I didn't want this. Mom, I wanted peace." I looked at him gently. Peace without respect is a rented room. You get kicked out when rent's due. He studied his hands, admitted. "I let her speak for us too long," I reminded him. "Silence is also speaking, son." He nodded. Shame heavy, but something shifting. The porch light buzzed as dusk gathered, and I gave him space to reckon. Later alone, I sat with my notebook. Dates, clauses, quotes, now headlines and names joined the pages. My late husband's voice echoed in memory. Dignity kept matters more than dollars spent. Respect is the cheapest gift, the most expensive loss. I thought of Maribel, how she shook yet still spoke. That was courage. My chest eased, not from winning, but from truth rising in unlikely places, around folding tables and styrofoam cups. Tomorrow would bring another round, sharper maybe, but tonight I steadied my hand with the pen, certain I wasn't erased. I closed the notebook, turned off the lamp. My phone buzzed with a reporter's request for comment. I let it buzz. If they want words, I whispered, they'll get the right ones. The next conversation wouldn't be in a church hall. It would be under lights, with microphones, and I was ready. The community center was packed tighter than I expected. Folding chairs filled every row, the hum of fluorescent lights overhead, cameras already rolling. Reporters clutched notepads. Neighbors leaned along the back wall. I walked to the microphone without notes. Paper had done its work. Tonight was voice. I won't raise my volume, I said, steady. I'll raise the facts. Eldrick sat front row, hands folded, eyes steady on me. Milas drifted in late, polished for the cameras, smile sharp as glass. I didn't flinch. This began with a phrase, important people, I began. It ends with a definition. I invited Harlan Dupree forward. His suit was stiff, his voice firm. He read from a prepared statement. Per contract hash, CHS 1171. Primary sponsor and payer, Althea Ransom. Total commitment up to $100,000. Cancellation rights per section 7B and 9. The clicks of cameras filled the pause. Venue received termination notice directly from Mrs. Ransom, refund processing per terms. I thanked him simply. No gloating. In Charleston. Courtesy cuts deeper than shouting. In this town, I told the room, money talks until paper interrupts. I didn't cancel a wedding. I canceled my erasure. Questions came quick. Was this revenge? No, I said, calm. This is accountability. Would I restore the event? A celebration that shames a mother isn't a family event. They asked about the kitchen help insult. I don't need you to take my word. Screenshots, minutes, and recordings exist in multiple inboxes. My eyes sought Maribel Cortez in the back row. Our kitchens feed this city. We honor them. I let silence linger until it spoke louder than I could. Respect costs less than cleanup. Then Rhett Calder, a distiller from downtown, stepped forward. He introduced himself as someone pitched a tiered guest experience tied to influencer deals. He pulled up an email on the projector. Melis's proposal, VIP-only seating optics. Ensure sponsor, positioned away from front rows for seamless narrative. The word seamless drew a wave of murmurs. Rhett added invoices naming Milas as paid creative director if those optics succeeded. I said only, thank you for your honesty. Milas protested. This is standard PR. Rhett's reply landed sharp. Standard isn't the same as decent. From the back, the band leader nodded. When the lights come on, I added, roaches run. People of character stay put. A reporter asked if the engagement still stood. I turned to Eldrick. His decision, not mine. He rose, voice firm. I won't marry someone who diminishes my mother. He slipped the ring from his pocket and placed it on the chair. No theatrics, just choice. Gasps rippled through the room. I didn't look at Melis. This wasn't my victory lap. It was his reckoning. Back at the mic, I said. The funds I set aside will now endow a hospitality scholarship named for Maribel Cortez and the women who keep us fed. Applause rose, respectful, not raucous. If money can't buy respect, it can at least pay it forward. I closed with 3 lines. I won't be erased. I won't be cruel. I will be clear. I nodded to Harland. Rhett, Maribel. Then stepped down. Behind me, Melis hissed. You'll regret this. I didn't turn. Not today. By dusk, I was back on my porch. The magnolia leaves stirred with a forgiving breeze. I signed the first page of the scholarship paperwork under the porch light. Tomorrow. Applications would open. The story ahead wouldn't be about a canceled wedding. It would be about setting a longer table.